Hello, my little dragons. It's me, Heather, here at Goldstone Books. For St. David's Day, I thought I would tell you the traditional Welsh story of Gelert and the Prince. If you don't know this story, it's a little sad, so be warned. Are you ready? Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then let's begin. This is a tale from long ago Wales of a prince and his hound. The bravest dog in the land was he. And the prince? You'll see. Once upon a time, there was a prince and his wife and their child, a bonny, brave boy, who lived together in a castle in Cymru. Lived there with the faithful hound, sweet Gelert, finest of all the prince's hounds, none finer. Closer than brothers they were, the prince and his dog. One day upon the morning light, the prince and his trusty hound left wife and child behind and went in search of adventure in the woods. But as they walked through the dappled glade, the dog stopped his paws and raised his snout and sniffed the air. And he began to howl, "Ow!" And then he ran back to the castle. "Gelert, where do you go?" called the prince. But the dog did not heed. He ran back to the castle, up the winding stairs, to the nursery room where the bonny, brave boy lay asleep in his bed. For inside the room was a beast on the prowl, a hungry black wolf who skulked and scowled, a creature who would eat the child. And so Gelert bared his teeth and growled and pounced upon the wicked wolf. And oh, what a struggle happened there, with snarling jaws and gnashing teeth, powerful claws that slashed and shred. The baby's little bed upturned, and the infant tumbled to the floor. The wolf, he leapt upon the child, but Gelert knocked him to the ground, and with all his might tore out the throat of the wicked wolf, thus saving the child. Brave Gelert lay panting upon the floor, blood and gore upon his jaws, and then the sound of screaming filled the air. The prince, who had followed his trusty hound home, surveyed the room with tapestries torn and furniture smashed, the cradle upturned upon the floor, and no sign of the bonny, brave boy. He looked upon his trusty hound, whose face was bloody and brown, and he drew his sword, and he ran it through the faithful dog, crying, "You killed my child, you beast, you brute!" And then from down below a sound, a cry, "The bonny, brave boy!" And the prince looked on in horror as he spied the body of the wolf who lay beside the child. Too late he saw what he had done. The hound was not the vicious one. Gelert had saved his little boy, his pride and joy. And how had he repaid that act? With haste and anger, bitter and black. The prince, he cried and beat his chest. "Oh, Gelert, you were the best, so brave and true and to the end. You will not be forgotten, friend." A grave was dug upon the green beside the castle walls, and prince and wife and child and all the people of the town came to pay their tributes to the bravest dog around. A stone was laid with the tale of Gelert and his prince, the tale I tell you now. A lesson for those who listen to this tale. Act not in anger or in haste. Check facts before you act, lest you do something you regret. And we must never forget the name of Gelert, the brave dog who sacrificed his life for a friend, and the friend who betrayed him in the end. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you so much. Stay tuned to hear more about the story of Gelert and where you can go in Wales to see his grave. Bye!
Gelert is the legendary dog associated with the village of Gelert, whose name means Gelert's grave in Gwynedd, northwest Wales. There really is a stone monument there that you can go and see. According to legend, the stone monument in the fields marks the resting place of Gelert, the faithful hound of the medieval Welsh prince Llewelyn the Great. The story, as written on the tombstone, reads, "In the 13th century, Llewelyn, Prince of North Wales, had a palace at Gelert. One day he went hunting without Gelert, the faithful hound, who was unaccountably absent. On Llewelyn's return, the truant, stained and smeared with blood, joyfully sprang to meet his master. The prince, alarmed, hastened to find his son and saw the infant's cot empty, the bedclothes and floor covered with blood. The frantic father plunged his sword into the hound's side, thinking it had killed his son. The dog's dying yell was answered by a child's cry. Llewelyn searched and discovered the boy unharmed, but nearby lay the body of a mighty wolf which Gelert had slain. The prince, filled with remorse, is said to have never smiled again. He buried Gelert here." Every year, thousands of people visit the grave of this brave dog. But is the story really true? Well, probably not. The story was invented by an innkeeper in 1793 to bring tourists to Gelert. There are many similar stories in cultures all over the world. There is even a similar tale from India where a mongoose saves the baby from a cobra. But whether the story is based on legend, myth, or history, it is still an entertaining one with a good message. Thank you so much for listening, and Dydd, Gŵyl, Dewi, Sant, Hapus. Happy St. David's Day from all of us at Goldstone Books.